Alright, time for the final match. We are on the play. Let's see what we get. This once again a 3-land hand, which I'm not too happy with usually, but it looks like a pretty great 3-land hand at least, so it is a fairly easy keep. Better than mulligan into like a bad 1-lander or 0-lander in a deck with such light land, and yeah, we can dump our entire hand by turn 2 on the play. That seems like a pretty good deal to me in a deck like this to start. Plus we also get to attack for 5 by turn 2, which is pretty good. Thanks to Rancor on the Nakatl. Oh, and we are up against Emanuel Gershonson from Austria. Buddy of mine and pro player, not sure what level he's at, probably gold at the moment. Ooh, a second Bushwhacker. That's a second Emissary. That makes for some really sweet explosive draw. Although I'm a bit scared to like play Rancor here against Open Manor, and given that he's street raced, it's very likely that he's on Death Shadow Aggro, a deck that he recently, I think, top 8'd at Grand Prix with. So chances are pretty high that he's running that, especially since the deck is really good. I mean, he shouldn't have too many fatal pushes. I think these lists usually don't run many fatal pushes, so they're just gonna like risk it and go for it. And yeah, he doesn't have it. I think a lot of lists that I've seen have like 1, 2 fatal pushes, some even have 0 in the main. And I think I rarely have seen more than like 2 in the top lists, because they don't run that much removal and they already want some DKs, so they often only have 1 or 2 fatal pushes. I think Sam Black, for example, only had 1. Gershie's list could have had 2, but I'm not sure right now. Would need to pull up the list. And yeah, if he doesn't have the fatal push here, putting the Rancor on the Nakatl is such a big deal in this matchup. See, he's already down to 10. His deck is built to deal damage to himself, and we go like so wide that we can just push through that. But yeah, that's like sort of annoying now, because double Death Shadow is actually quite impressive here. And we cannot like all out attack, because then we would simply die. Like if we attack with everything, we can just block, take 7, go to 1, and then these are 12/12 and he just swings back at us, so the only thing we can do is attack with Nakatl and hope that he trades, which also unfortunately telegraphs him that we do not have anything like a Drake Attacker's Command, Lightning Bolt, stuff like that, because otherwise we could just like all out attack and bolt to win. And I think he's in such a bad spot that he wouldn't play around anything anyways, which is why I didn't all out attack, because it's super unlikely that he's gonna block in a way to play around anything. He will just block so that he doesn't die without me. Yeah, that's strong play. That he's not gonna die when I don't have anything, and then kill me on the backswing, I think, rather than like blocking this guy, and then, I mean, given that he has Noxious Revival, he would have even like blocked here, went to 2, and still dies to like command or bolt. I think it's also like basically impossible for him to not die to either of those in that situation. I mean, he can play around bolt, but even that is like likely not worth it when you're under that much pressure. Not sure if I want to play it. Like, they have a lot of discard, so they can take it, but it enables stuff like Bushwhacker, which is a pretty big deal. And I think the card is not really doing anything right now other than that, so I'm gonna hold on to it at the risk of him discarding it. But if he doesn't, and we draw like a Bushwhacker, having that Rancor in our hand still is gonna be a big deal. And if we don't, it's probably not gonna matter if it's like discarded or on a creature in play, because they're just gonna block the creature with Rancor anyway. That's so aggressive attack, but that means he has something. Which also means I need to jump block at least one. Let's see what else he's got. Tarmogoyf. That was a bit sloppy, should have done that on my upkeep, so I have Revolt for that turn if I draw Renegade. That's important if you have Revolt and you need to fetch because the game is drawing to a close and you want to thin your draws to maximize your outs. Do it in your upkeep so you still get the Revolt. That is not it. Which also means we are dying because even though we are not dying next turn, we have to throw away our board and then die the turn after without any outs to draw to. Or, yeah, I mean, if we put rank on something here and like attack, only get him to 4 and die in the backswing, yeah, we're dead. Alright, time to sideboard. Okay, I'm pretty sure we want these. And probably also Tarmogoyf. Once again, Bolt is like not very good here. Although maybe it actually is in this matchup, just because they like naturally go so low and there's a lot of windows to just get them. Bolt. I think Rancor is gonna be pretty bad, because if they're big blockers, they're just gonna like block the guy with Rancor with their big blockers, because their blockers are always gonna be big enough, usually, to not just die to a Rancored up creature. So Rancor is pretty bad. Maybe we just don't want Tarmogoyf, because it's kinda slow. Yeah, maybe that makes sense. Then again, it's kinda good and they don't have that much removal fight. And can line up well against their creatures. I think I'm not the biggest fan of Rampager in this matchup. Because it's usually not gonna like make a creature big enough to make a difference. So yeah, I think I'll just cut like one Lightning Bolt. So we still have like chance to draw Lightning Bolt to burn them out, but multiple Lightning Bolt draws, especially early on, can be lackluster, I think. Yeah, I like that. I think that makes sense. Shaving a Bolt as last card and bringing in the guys. We have like largely played against interactive decks today, so we brought in Tarmogoyf a lot, but don't be like too convinced they should belong in the main deck, like against the plenty of like unfair decks in the format where it's just like racing and linear strategy. Tarmogoyf is a really bad card, and that's why they're not in the main deck. You just want them in a bunch of the fair matchups, not even in all of them. Gonna be on the play and keep this. Pretty solid hand. Not the best Spirit Guide hand, but we'll keep it. Also think there's not much point in like Spirit Guiding out Goyf, because then Goyf is the first thing they're gonna kill with their removal, so I'd rather just drop a Renegade fair and square and that's it. Plus if we draw a Bushwhacker, we can like next turn go Renegade, Bushwhacker thanks to the Spirit Guide still in our hand. And yeah, we kinda wanna like draw their removal with the Renegades and then drop a Goyf if they don't have discard. Or in this case, play like double creature this turn. Like maybe if he has a Fatal Push he's gonna use it here, so the Goyf doesn't eat the Fatal Push, basically. Which seems like it's what's going to happen, so that plan paid off. Because otherwise the Tarmogoyf would have eaten the Dismember, which is nothing that I want in this situation. Exile the Spirit Guide, 3/4 Tarmogoyf, Renegade, and back up Attacker's Command, and now we'll looking fairly strong, unless he has like another removal for the Tarmogoyf. Then he can like recover a bit. And then we need to draw some more creatures off the top. But all in all, the line worked out pretty well. I mean, if we could have gone double 1-drop, obviously we would have done it on turn 1, but since Golf was all we had, that was kind of the best line, I think. Alright. Let's get in for 5. No point in using command here because Golf already has the pump from the instant. And he has another remove for Golf. And we at least draw a creature, so drew a creature, so it's fine. And yeah, I'm gonna play the land here for sure. Not gonna fetch it because of Revolt and we don't really need it, but it's important to be able to command in response to a discard spell. Or like, I don't know, Liliana plus, although if he plays a Liliana and still has it in the deck, he's gonna just minus, but I'm pretty sure he boarded them out anyway, so that shouldn't be relevant. But he probably still at least has the collective brutalities, if he has any, and like Inquisition. And it's reasonable to like collective brutality for discard here to put me on like something like a bolt or pass or an attacker's command as last hand card, especially after I played my third land. So I think we're gonna fetch on upkeep here, because I really want to like maximize our top decks at this point, even at the cost of like a renegade next turn that won't have revolt then, but that point's gonna come so late that it won't matter that much if it gets +1/+1 or not. Alright, Spirit Guide, not great, not great, but better than a land. Like once again, scenario where it's better than like the 19th or 20th land, since it is gonna add another body to an otherwise empty board on the opponent's side, and gonna make the command in our hand better, and even makes our experiment one better. So this Spirit Guide might actually make the difference between winning and losing in this particular game. We'll see. Whoa, that was a big blowout, and now the game is not looking so great anymore. Kinda didn't see that one coming. I guess some people run it, but yeah, that was nothing that I quite expected, plus nothing that I could play around anyway, so. The turn after we could have with the command, but this turn we couldn't. That also seems a bit mediocre in the matchup, since a lot of our stuff is resilient to it. But I guess there's kind of enough stuff that dies to it. Occasionally Experiment 1, definitely Emissary, Bushwhacker, and Goblin Guide. And sometimes you also get like an Unrevolted Renegade, or like a 2/2 Nacatl in some weird games. So it's pretty alright. I mean, you definitely bring it in if you have it, but it's probably not the matchup it's meant for. So interesting that he's dealing 2 to us. Rather than make us discard. I mean, maybe he just puts us on like a bolt or a command here and thinks the discard is wasted. Not sure. Or he has like lethal if we are on 11 next turn. I think I wanna fetch here. Might make a slight difference in likelihood of lethal, of him having lethal, but it also increases our odds at drawing like a better card, which we kind of desperately need here. Not that, like the 5th land, I mean our deck has like how many lands left? 5, 9. There's like 9 actual lands left in our deck. This is like a pretty absurd flood for this deck. Because the thinning has like a relatively huge impact in this deck in my opinion, simply because well, we still thin one land out of our deck, like every other deck. The percentage of land that we remove from our deck by fetching one land is much bigger though, because we have so few lands in the first place, so we drastically reduce the land percentage in our deck, which, if I'm not thinking about this wrongly, basically has a significantly higher impact than in a deck with a higher land percentage, where fetching a land reduces the land percentage, like the percentage ratio of land to non-lands much less. But maybe I'm just like looking at it wrong, I'm not sure. That's like easily something where you could like get stuck in your head and kind of look at it the wrong way. If I am like thinking about this wrongly, let me know in the comments. It was just like a thought that popped into my head right now, and that seems sound, but might just not have an actual impact, I'm not sure. Renegade, maybe? What's he going for? Ooh. That's like super interesting use of the card. That's pretty nice play. And yeah, that means we are dead. Yeah, these Death Shadow aggro decks are just so resilient and so good. Honestly, if I would have access to all the cards I need for the deck online, I would probably just be jamming that. The deck is just so good. If I can manage to like get my hands on the cards, I would definitely like make a video with it and take it into action to show it off to you guys. But yeah, I mean, my Asperdelve deck is one of the decks that should be in a solid position to take this deck head on, which is why I'm probably gonna like grind it out more and try to fine tune it further past the list in the last video, since that seems like one of the better bets for the current modern metagame, if you want to attack it from like an outside angle and don't just want to jam like the best deck, aka Death Shadow. Alright, that's it for today's series. I lost a bunch of unfortunate critical games due to bad draws, which might be very much in the nature of the deck, but we also saw some pretty impressive stuff from the deck. I'm gonna like probably play it a little more online to see if I like it enough to keep playing it and grind it for value in leagues. But so far I feel like there should be just like decks that are a bit more consistent and reliable in their performance for doing that, so I'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed this series as usual. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you'd like me to potentially pilot in the future. Some people asked for my Sultai Visions deck in action, which I plan on doing ASAP. There's just like a couple of really expensive cards that I need to find someone to lend me, because I just don't have the bankroll on Magic Online to buy them. Like Creeping Target is extremely expensive and I don't own any, for example, stuff like that. But the deck is definitely on my list of things to record with for you guys and show after I wrote about it. Alright, that's it for this time. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I'm out. Bye.